Welcome to the Terrible Take, committee podcast telling Steelers Nation what's on our mind. I'm Josh Carney. We don't often get to hear from Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin midweek ahead of a game, especially after his weekly press conference. But thanks to second-year wide receiver George Pickens' bizarre media session Tuesday from the locker room, well, the fan base and the media got to hear from the longtime head coach on Wednesday. Unsurprisingly, Tomlin addressed the Pickens situation. He tried to get out in front of it with a statement to open up the session with the media about how Pickens is a young player, maturing, growing, etc., etc. It was all the usual expected stuff. But one comment Tomlin made that was beyond frustrating, at least to me, was that Pickens is going to play Saturday against the Cincinnati Bengals at Acrisure Stadium, almost as if nothing happened. I understand that, as Dave Bryan laid out on the Wednesday Terrible podcast, that it would be rather difficult to sit Pickens with just 5 receivers on the roster, and one of them being Miles Boykin, a special teams-only receiver. But the Steelers, and Tomlin specifically, have to send a message to Pickens. That starts with taking playing time away. Obviously, things aren't getting through to him behind closed doors. It's understandable that he's frustrated with the offense and the lack of production. But he does himself and his teammates and coaches, for that matter, a disservice with his attitude and effort on the field and his disdain for the media off of it. Yes, he might be 22 years old and is experiencing real hardship from a football perspective for the first time in his career. But the professionalism and maturity is greatly lacking, and it's alarming, period. Being professional with the media, even giving the canned answers and cliche lines in response to tough questions, is perfectly fine, at least from a player perspective. Don't make yourself the story with your answers, unless you are calculated. Right now, it's safe to say Pickens isn't doing any calculation. Accountability can go a long way for Pickens and for the team. He hasn't taken any yet, and it looks like the Steelers won't force him to, either rewarding him with playing time because he's talented and because the team needs to win. Sometimes things are more important than winning, especially when the culture is seemingly rotting from the inside out. Yes, this isn't high school or college football, and a lot is at stake. But you simply can't let players get away with antics and comments like Pickens without some serious repercussions. Or you risk losing the locker room entirely. It doesn't feel like that's happening under Tomlin right now when it comes to the accountability. That's disappointing. Be sure to follow us at SteelersDepot.com and check out episodes of The Terrible Take every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And check out The Terrible Podcast with Alex Kozora and Dave Bryan every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.